Here on All In, we're always pleased when we're able to bring guests into studio who their chosen profession regards something that we're all going to need someday. And let me tell you, every day that I live one day longer, I get one day closer to realizing just how important this is. We're talking Medicare today here on All In with Bryan Weatherford with a professional Medicare insurance broker. The name of the company is Joseph Insurance, and we have Peter R. Joseph himself, our guest on All In with Bryan Weatherford. Peter, how are you, sir? Very nice to see you.
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to this. And like I said, it's the type of thing that we're all going to be involved with someday, good Lord willing. And every day that I wake up, I'm one day closer to needing to call you. So I might be surprised to know that I don't need to wait until I'm old enough to call you, but we'll get into that here in just a second. First of all, I know you're in the Medicare game and you obviously have experience in insurance, but let's back it up a little bit because not all of your experience is in the insurance world. What else have you been doing here in your professional life?
Well, honestly, I was in the nonprofit industry for about 22 years. And so that was my life, my career. And because of certain church politics, unfortunately, our family took a step back and decided to go into the field of insurance. It actually is pretty similar to the nonprofit sector, believe it or not. We are helping people. We want to make sure they're getting their needs met. And I felt like it fit my skill set. And so went into the life insurance business and then decided to specialize in Medicare this last year.
Well, it sounds to me just in that brief description, you're one of these guys that's always had a servant's heart, if you will, and taking care of people. And we certainly admire guys and gals like you who have those abilities because we certainly all need them. But what I'm curious about, and I totally get it, you moved professions, wanted to try something new, got into life insurance, then decided to start your own business. How did you switch to Medicare when you decided to get into business for yourself?
Well, I realized that there's a lot of our seniors out there who just don't understand the Medicare process, and it can get kind of confusing. And so I just felt like I could play a role in that, in their lives, to educate them, to help them process and navigate that journey, and to decipher what each term means and how to actually start that process. I want to make sure our seniors are insured to the max and that they're not being taken advantage of. And because of my servant's heart, that's why I got into this business.
Well, you brought up the term not being taken advantage of. Again, very admirable. Appreciate that of you because, frankly, obviously not you, but there are people, sadly, within your industry who aren't, let's just say, as dependable and trustworthy as others. Exactly why is that so important to make sure that when you're working with someone that you do get someone who is trustworthy and dependable? Tell us some of the horror stories if they're not.
Well, you definitely want an agent who is knowledgeable in Medicare to be in your corner. There have been situations I've heard of from colleagues who they just try to sell the plan so that they can get their commission, and then they basically don't contact them ever again after that point. And with my clients, they are my clients for life. I care immensely about them. I'm always checking in with them, making sure they're doing okay and they're happy with what they've got. If not, then we can switch them over. But there are horror stories of people pretending to be Medicare agents, getting seniors information, and then unfortunately seniors are paying out money that they shouldn't be paying out. So I definitely want to protect them from that.
Well, good for you. We need someone like you in a variety of businesses. We can talk off the air, okay? The next thing I wanted to ask you is, as I was talking about on my intro for your segment today, is the fact that Medicare doesn't kick in until 65, but I probably don't want to wait until I'm 65 to learn about it. Let me know when people should contact you to start talking, to start preparing, to make sure they're doing everything properly.
Well, Brian, I've got some prospects that are 63 years old and they're working with me now. And so it's important to navigate. There's so much out there, there's so much information, and you don't want to wait till the last minute. With Medicare, you do have to contact Social Security office 90 days prior to your birth date when you turn 65. And I recommend my clients to get on the page when they're 63, honestly, so that they can understand what's out there. They can start comparing plans and get ready for whatever is coming next, whether it's the retirement age or there are some of my clients who are still working and are eligible for Medicare, and they don't realize that they can save money by switching over to Medicare and still working. So that's an important concept for people to realize.
Well, it's a very important concept, and you're exactly right. I know plenty of people older than 65 that I certainly hope they were smart enough to get a hold, obviously, of you or someone like you to make sure that they're getting the benefits that they're absolutely entitled to and have been working for their entire life. That's a good thing to know. You know, I hear the term Medicare supplements from time to time. Is that something you're into as well or not?
Yes. So there are options for people with larger budgets. If they really want to be covered from head to toe and they want to make sure that they've got the coverage they need, then I do offer supplements. It's important for those people who travel a lot to have supplements because that's coverage for doctors outside a network. And so if you have a supplement and you travel a lot, then you're definitely covered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't want to think you're covered and then go on the road and goodness gracious, something happens, and then all of a sudden it could be way more expensive than you ever envisioned. So good for you. Good for you to get the word out to people on that. You know, you're just a good guy, as we talked about before you got into this business, and the fact that even while you're in this business, not just from a professional standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, you're very active within the community, a basketball coach, among other things, if I read the notes properly. Why is it so important for you personally and maybe professionally to get involved within the community?
I want to be considered a trusted individual in the small business realm. And so I think it's important to give back to the community. I've got two little kids of my own, a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old. And so I think it's important for them to see a father figure out there coaching in sports activities that they're involved with. And so I give back. You know, obviously I don't get paid for those positions, but I love just spending time and building trusted relationships within our community. And so that's why I do what I do. I coach soccer, I coach basketball. We do community cleanups when we see those in our community. It's important for a family to give back.
Well, it's important for everybody to give back, quite frankly, Peter, but a lot of people don't. So I hope people watching this today realize, you know, what I always like to tell people is this, going back to your nonprofit world, you know this way better than I do. All nonprofits need to raise money, of course they do. But you know what they also need? Time. They need people to volunteer their time to go in, and if it's just to blow a whistle at a kid's basketball game or something. I mean, everything helps, everything adds up, and I applaud you for your community efforts helping people out as well. Curious, we know that you're a Medicare broker. Do you work with other types of insurance as well or not?
I do. I actually just got contracted with Covered California. I do run into individuals who have spouses that aren't 65 yet, and I want to give them an option to fill the gap until they turn 65 and then are eligible for Medicare. So I do help with healthcare needs. And I do life insurance on the side, but honestly, Brian, I'd say 90% of my business is Medicare.
Well, you know, I like a guy who realizes the importance of, let's just say, put all your eggs in one basket and watch that basket, because Lord knows something as confusing as Medicare. Every day you wake up, you might learn something new about Medicare, and you're certainly going to know more than the people looking to get into Medicare. But to get with a professional like you who dedicates everything to Medicare and all the ins and outs and nuances that is so important for people. And the fact that you are trustworthy and dependable is just icing on the cake, because it's such a complicated thing. But as I mentioned before, Medicare is the type of deal that we all need to be aware of, and we can't do it on our own. We need people like you to assist us. Hey, man, I appreciate it. It was a good time today sharing your story. I like the backstory. I like what you're doing now, and I'm just guessing you'll continue to help people for some time because you have that servant's heart we talked about. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You take care.
Appreciate it.
See
Take
ya.
care.
Bye-bye.